Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is your home girl, Arabia Barbosa 914, which is kind of New York. We up here doing a little short live video, and I just want to check in with everyone. I want to tell everyone good morning. Uh, I think it's like a little after 9 o'clock this morning, but I'm up. I'm getting ready to leave to go to work tonight. I don't want to work during the day doing construction so much. So I work at night. I work at night. And I'm very happy with doing what I'm doing, but I know at the end of the day, while I'm working for the company I'm working for, I have to apply for other jobs. You know what I mean? So I can have a steady income coming in. And that is my biggest concern right now. I'm caught up on everything, but I need to stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. And shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. This is your home girl, Arabia Barbosa 914, which is kind of New York. As you can see in the chat, the link is dropped. The link is dropped. You know what I mean? So usually when I go live like this, I drop my link. People can hit the link whenever they want. But you got to be somebody I know, somebody I'm familiar with. And that's just it. You know what I mean? But not going to be here that long. I had a good night of sleep. I slept so hard. When I woke up this morning, it was like, what, 7 something? I said, damn. Because I know I went to sleep on Sunday and I woke up a few hours later. Then I went to the store and came back home. And I woke up this morning and, but as I was going to the store this morning, I saw the birds gathering. I saw the birds gathering. I said to myself, well, usually they do gather in the morning. We used to have a crowd of pigeons to come over in this area. Whoever had those pigeons are no longer living in this area. A shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. But yeah, I'm gonna wait a few minutes. Anyone that wants to hit the link can. They're welcome to hit the link. Um, I don't mean no harm, but I see that certain things are happening in these YouTube streets. And I'm like, what's getting ready to happen now? I'm like, damn. But it is what it is. So before I go to work, I gotta get everything ready. I gotta pack the lunch. I gotta make sure I got my house keys on me. Make sure I lock the door. Make sure I do what I need to do to ensure my life, goals, what I want to, accomplish for today. And so it is what it is. A shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Hey, Frank, what's up? Good morning, Frank. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Frank, for coming in. Yeah, it's good to see you early this morning. I hope everything is working out for you, working well. Free Thinkers, thank you for coming in. Free Thinkers always comes in and always shows love and shout out to those that are brave enough to even type into the chat. Because a lot of people, they don't want to do that. They don't want to associate with certain people on these YouTube streets. And it has been brought to my attention that I'm 10 times worse than some other females on these YouTube streets. And sometimes I do speak out of turn. Sometimes I, go down the wrong path. And, it is what it is. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Not gonna be up here that long. I just wanna check in with my people and show some appreciation. Shout out to all my subscribers, my new subscribers, my old subscribers. Shout out to my support team. And it is what it is. I can't predict what's going to happen on this app. I cannot predict nothing. Only thing I can do is do my own content and talk my own ish. A lot of people like to hear my prison stories. A lot of people like to hear about what happened when I was homeless. A lot of people want to hear about certain things that I have done. And, I am a native New Yorker, 5th-generation New Yorker, born and raised, left from New York, came to South Carolina. And anytime I leave from South Carolina, I always go back to New York. I always go back to my home base because that's where I'm from. When my great-grandfather came to this country, he was supposed to have went to Massachusetts. He ended up landing in New York, and he made his life in New York. Right there in New York, in the heart of New York. He went to Harlem. They lived down in Harlem for a little while, and then he left from Harlem. He went to Westchester County. So that's why I say shout out to Westchester County 914. 914 is the Westchester County area code. And we used to use that number for many, many years. Even when I moved to South Carolina, I still remember where I came from. 914, Westchester County, New York. That in certain places like Yonkers or Mount Vernon, they're right there. New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, and New Rochelle, they're very close in proximity, very close to the Bronx. Shout out to Bronx, New York. We're very close to there. When I was living on Saratoga Avenue in Yonkers, New York, a couple of years ago, I used to have to walk to the Bronx. It was like, what, a 7-minute walk? A 7-minute walk. Now, if I didn't feel like walking, I would immediately get on the bus, the 7 bus, the 10 bus, and go deep into the Bronx. Or I would walk to catch the 4 bus in Yonkers, and the 4 bus would take me back into the Bronx. Then I would get on the subway. I would take the 2 train or the 5 train to wherever I was going to in the Bronx. So shout out to Bronx, New York. Shout out to Mount Vernon. Shout out to Yonkers. Shout out to New Rochelle. Shout out to the 914 Westchester County, New York. And I don't know if anyone knows, but the Supreme Court just made their opinion. And they're talking about what to do about the homeless population. Now, in New York, in certain places in New York, I'm going to let my people know this. Those that are homeless in New York, I'm going to let you know they got shelters for y'all in the city. They got the big shelter in Valhalla, New York. But in order to get into the shelter system, you're going to have to probably go through a Department of Social Services office. You're going to have to go there. You're going to have to apply for food stamps. You're going to have to do certain things. And New York City does not like dealing with people that are from Westchester County. Trust me, I know. There was a training program they had in the city, New York City, a couple of years ago. It was dealing with building maintenance. It was a building maintenance basic repair program. It was a job training program. They train you for like 3 months, da da da, and so forth and so forth. So what I did, I went down there to apply, and they when they looked up my name, they looked up where I was coming from. It said we do not service Westchester County. You would have to go back to Westchester County and get this job training going on. So I went back to Westchester County and I signed up for a job training program. This was years ago. And I went under a program, it was called Project Own. Project Own. And they were located right there on 3rd Street. So I went in there, I applied for the job training. And basically, what they were doing, they were showing us about building, maintenance, repair, basic services. That basically we were being trained to be janitors, not just cleaning a building, but knowing how to do the plumbing, the painting, the electrical work, uh, knowing just like certain things. And I signed up, and next thing I did after that, I went for a job on the West Half Incorporated, and I became a housekeeper. I was a housekeeper technically, but on paper they said custodian. Da da da. Went in and I did that job for like almost a whole year. But I made the terrible mistake. It was a terrible mistake I made. I started sleeping with one of the residents. She worked for the company too. She was a security officer. She used to do security for them in different places all over Westchester County and sometimes in the city. And I don't know what happened, like, to get it started. I met her, I saw her, I talked to her, and I started trusting this woman. But before I did anything with her, da da da. So later on down the road, we started going to different motels. I would go on the weekends. I would pay for the whole room for like 1 or 2 nights, and she would come from off of her job, come into the room, and we did our business. We ate, we talked, we made love. I loved that woman. I did. Deep down in my heart. And I remember the day she called me. I was on my job, and this is when the mistake came. She called me. She said, Arabia, I need you to come to the room. Come to the room. Now, I'm working in the building, y'all. Remember, I'm working in the building that she's living in. I go to the room. This bitch gets mad at me because I gave my sister whatever my sister asked for. I gave it to her. It's my sister. And she said it cut her short from what she wanted. I said, baby girl, nobody's perfect. Don't you know this woman threatened my job? Threatened my job. Threatened to get me fired. And immediately when she said that, I went and I grabbed her. I grabbed her. You know how you do a chokehold on somebody's neck? Because when I was in the penitentiary, that's what we used to do to females that threaten us. And I held her, I pinned her on the bed. I said, don't you ever threaten my job. She said, Arabia, if you do anything to me in this room, it's already on camera. You're on video. In the words of Queen Regina, we got you on video. I had forgotten all about some kind of camera or some kind of video. I had to let her go because she was right. If I had physically injured that bitch like the way I wanted to, I probably wouldn't be sitting on these YouTube streets talking to you all like the way I'm talking. But I'm talking about my personal experiences with different women. And I believe she was the worst of the worst. And she did get me fired from the job. Yes, she did. There was some avenue she had to go through to get me fired. Once they fired me from off that job, I had been there for almost a whole year. 2 weeks later, she got fired from her security guard job, and they evicted her from that shelter that she was living in. It was called the Coachman. It's right there on East Post, right there in White Plains, New York. Shout out to White Plains, New York. That was my first time ever getting fired from off a job. And it hurt me to my heart to turn in my uniforms and turn in my keys. Yeah, because when you get hired to be a custodian anywhere, they automatically give you keys to everything. I don't care where the keys go. You got keys to go in different people's apartment, whether they are there or not. I had a lot of responsibilities, and I did not respect my responsibilities. I can only blame myself. But at the end of the day, I ended up moving right there in Yonkers, New York, right there on Saratoga, 54 Saratoga Avenue. And I was there. I was there for almost 2 years, almost three, like a little over 2 years, close to 3. And what happened was the same woman that got me fired from off my job, she had moved right next door in an apartment building, not too far from where I was at, right next door to each other. Because I remember seeing her get off the school bus, because she became a school bus monitor. And there was one particular day I was sitting outside, smoking my cigarette, sipping on my little beer, enjoying my life, not bothering anyone, not bothering anyone. She got off the bus. She saw me. We didn't speak to each other at first. But as time went on, she came to me. And she apologized for what she did. I said, baby girl, you ain't stopped nothing. I'm still living, still breathing, making my money. It's just that me and you are not together. We're never going to be together. You betrayed me. And shout out to the chat. But I let it be known then how I felt about her. Eventually, I moved on from that relationship. I started dating a woman named Nature. Shout out to Nature. Yonkers, New York. Shout out to her. And me and Nature, our relationship didn't work out. And I remember one day we was in the house, we was having a blown out argument. And don't you know her mother came down the stairs? Nature had her own apartment. I used to spend the night with Nature. I used to take care of Nature. And the mother had to come down those stairs and say, look, Arabia, it might be a good idea for you and Nature to separate. We like you, Arabia, but we don't like all this, shouting and screaming in the house. We can't take it. All her brothers and sisters was there. Some of her cousins was there, like Arabia. And I had to walk away. But me and Nature stayed friends. Even to this day, she can call me and talk to me about anything. Shout out to Nature. Shout out to Yonkers, New York. It is what it is. I'm talking about me. I'm not giving nobody no shine over here. Nobody gets no shine. But I will shout out my YouTube creators. I will shout out my subscribers, my support team. I will shout them out. Give them some shine, some love, some respect. But sometimes you got to be careful when you're dating women. You got to be careful of them. You know what I mean? I came to South Carolina. I started dating women down here. South Carolina got a different thing going on down here. It's a different thing going on down here. So eventually, you date the woman, you might date a man. Because I'm bisexual. You know what I mean? But thus far, I've not been dating nobody recently. I'm too old for all that domestic violence and, shouting and screaming and all that craziness and, trying to help people out. Those days are dead and gone. I think, I'm 51. I'll be 52 in March. If God allows me, if the universe allows me to be here that long. My great grandma Barbosa, which is my grandmother's mother, she passed away in 1949 at the age of 52. She didn't live that long. Heart attack. And this woman was a Mohawk Native American woman. She used to work for the churches, go out there into the churches, read palms, read people's cards. She used to make money doing that. She used to make money just making her little herbs and all that, trying to help out the community. My great grandma Barbosa became very popular at that time. She had a son. His name was Lawrence. Lawrence left from the United States and went to live in Africa. And he became involved with spiritual practices. See, we got a lot of voodoo doctors, a lot of Santeria people going on in my family. I'm related to Dr. Buzzard. Everybody know who Dr. Buzzard is, and he died years ago. I'm related to him through my grandfather, Grandpa Henry. He was from Charleston, South Carolina. But Grandpa Henry people came from a certain area in Africa. It's in West Africa. They came over here as slaves. Shout out to that part of my family. I'm not proud of that history, not at all. Not at all. But reality is reality. Good morning, Donna. Good morning. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I'm not going to be up here that long. I'm going to cut it short. I'm going to cut this video very short. I'm trusting that everyone heard the videos I did yesterday when I came home from the job. I got to go back to work tonight. So I'm going to try to get me a little more rest. I'm going to leave out of here late this afternoon, pick up my paperwork and continue on to the job. I got everything together, my box cutter together, my working gloves together because I had to buy me a new set of working gloves and stuff. So, I got to get my little lunch pack. So I'm good to go. Shout out to the chat. I'm out of here. I want to thank everyone that came into the chat, typed into the chat. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank all my subscribers, new and old. Shout out to the women that moderated for me on my big channel. Because every time I look up, you young women come into the chat and you type into the chat. Shout out to DL. Shout out to Donna. Shout out to Khadijah. Those were my 3 moderators on my big channel. And I thank you for sticking with me as long as you did. You had a lot of patience with me because I was not easy to moderate for, but you did it, and you did a very wonderful job. All right, I'm out of here, everyone. Shout out to the whole chat, and I hope everyone has an awesome day today. Be safe. Be safe. And keep power in your circle. And may God bless you. May the universe continue with each and every last one of you. And I thank you so much for listening to me and spending some of your morning with me. Arabia, Barbosa, 914, which is kind of New York. I'm out of here. We'll see everyone in the next video, or perhaps in someone else's chat. Peace.